So, I wrote another book. This is called Epitaphs, and it's a collection of poems that I put together over the past, I want to say, month or two, maybe longer. I can't remember when I started putting this stuff together, but yeah, it's a collection of ideas, and generally the format of the book is that I start with an idea, that's the title, and I explain my thought process. I explain what I'm thinking at the time, and the titles are simple, but I think the delving into the topics is much more complex and much more involved. And it was a really fun thing to write because I had a whole lot of fun putting together these ideas, putting together my thoughts, because it's one thing to think things, but it's another to put them down and then go back to read them and see what you were thinking at the time. See the ideas that are flowing through your head. See the amalgamation of all your studies and all your activities and all your work and everything that has gone to build this mindset. And yeah, it's just overall cool. So I'm going to read you a few poems, a few ones that I really enjoyed. And, hopefully you enjoy it enough to pick it up. If you don't, just enjoy the video because we're going to go through some poetry today. This one's called Path to Freedom. The world is full of hypocrites, including yourself. Once you see, you no longer condemn. All political discussion is merely finger-pointing. Your side did this, but mine is just as responsible. Break free. When you condemn others, you condemn yourself. Your soul is worth more. To participate in this world is to play a rigged game. Millennia of mental prisons that cannot be escaped. Retreat to the self. Find all that you already need. Write your own Walden. That is freedom. And obviously it's a very, very simple idea that goes in different directions, but it's so much about that. When you remove yourself from worldly pursuits, when you remove yourself from the need to be up in the news and blame everyone else and point the finger and get so absorbed in the world around you that you forget what really matters, that's the real slavery of this world. That's the real prison of this world, is that you create these boxes, that you create these definite things that must go right, that your side must win, that the other side must be wrong, that everything must be going this way so that I can live a good life. But the truth is, the best life you can live is one of gratitude, of one appreciation, one that you realize that it's the little things that matter. It's the amount of time you give back to the people you love. It's the amount of energy that you put to the passions and the pursuits that you really enjoy doing. And that's really what I try to capture in this, and that's really a lot of what my writing tries to capture. But yeah, I think I did a good job with that one. All right, here's another one. The infinite. Substance is finite, thus what makes you will soon be something else, and so on. Perhaps matter replicates metaphysics in that all is expression of one thing. If that's the case, the world is a reflection of you. It is you pushed out. No wonder you find so much wrong. You're voicing criticism to yourself. If this is true, then what is the point of life? Simple to take your turn. And what I tried to attempt to recreate in this poem is Emerson's Oversoul. And I really urge you to read Emerson's writings, and particularly his Oversoul, or his idea of nature. I think the essay is called Nature, where he mentions the Oversoul. Maybe there's a specific one, but to Emerson, everything was connected and everything was tied together and everything was part of one cycle of things. And it's really an extension on Spinoza's ethics, in that all matter is neither created or destroyed and everything exists. So thus, everything that once was something else will soon be something else, and you're just playing your part in it. And I kind of just took the spiritual outlook on this. I kind of took the idea that we're all part of one play and really just playing our part right now. And it's that sort of idea of things, and that's really something that I like to play around with, because I think that's something that is what we come to grips with. That's really the existential crisis that we all have, is that, is there any meaning? Is there any depth? And to even think about that gets away from the point of life, which is to live. Because how can you live a good life consumed with the idea that you have a duty? How can you be living a good life if you're consumed with the idea that something has to happen, that something has to be a certain way? And I think that's the wrong way of looking at things. And I think when you just find time for life, then life finds time for you. And yeah. Okay, this is another one. Rose-colored glasses. The world appears as you decide. To the rich man, it is full of life. To the poor, it is desolate. To you, it depends on discernment. What happens to you is fickle. It depends how you take it. Some are inspired by circumstance, others haunted. I choose instead to deny reality, just as a person in a padded cell would. What good does it serve to limit myself? Why not believe in the unseen? The greatest act of devotion was Abraham's willingness to sacrifice his son. Similarly, I'm willing to give up all that I know for something better. If it isn't here today, then I still lived inspired. The end result doesn't matter. What matters is the life you lead in pursuit of something better. So this is the idea of embodying your idealized version of yourself. This is really Nietzsche's Übermensch, or Emerson's idea of self-reliance, in that if you live your life in pursuit of something better, if you live your life inspired by a idealized version of yourself, then you live your life in a manner that you can be happy. Because when you divorce yourself from the result, when you divorce yourself from all the external circumstances and believe that you can and follow that pursuit and follow that passion, then what happens doesn't matter, because you have purpose along the way. You have passion along the way. And in fact, it's better when you haven't gotten there. It's better when you're still working. It's better when you're still improving, because think about the athlete that's done it all, that's seen it all, that's retired, and they're looking back with joy. They're looking back with a bittersweetness, because they're never going to be as good as they were. Once you get to that mountaintop, then you're just looking back and you're trying to recapture that for the rest of your life. And this is something that I think is a big misconception, that when we get to the end goal, we will be happy. The truth is, when we get to the end goal, we will be disappointed, because the victory will feel empty, because now we have nothing to push for next. So in fact, it's a greater thing to pursue something that's out of our reach. It's a greater ideal to pursue something and take passion and take happiness in the fact that we're not there yet, because that's the most important part of the journey. That's the part that determines who you will become, what legacy you will leave. And I'm not talking about legacy in terms of the accomplishments you have, but legacy in the terms of the impact you have on the people around you, the people you inspire to be better through your example. Okay, 343 in parentheses, synchronicity. The cloud retreats, the mind is cleared. A sudden certainty arises, the path is lit. There exists an intuition which cannot lead us wrong, and to have faith is to be guided. When you can't know, but still know. And this is the idea of a gut feeling, and a gut feeling that you have no reason to believe, but you believe anyway. And this is something that has guided me so much throughout my life, that I just have a feeling that I'm doing the right thing, that things are going to work out, that things, despite of everything around them, aren't caving in. And there's almost like a angel on our shoulder. There's almost like a guardian angel that keeps us pushing, that in the times of need we are guided if we can just listen to that voice. And this is something that's always saved me throughout my life, whether you think it's premonition or higher power or just a Jungian synchronicity, whatever it is, it's something that I've always felt and I've always listened to. Fiction. And I wrote this one after reading Borges, if you couldn't tell. We write fiction every day. The doors are not cleansed, referencing the Blakean idea of the doors of perception. Reality is biased by observation. The narrator is a liar. Can we be honest, or do we even lie to ourselves? Stories are crafted with limited information, then taken as fact. The entire world is a game of telephone, which then shapes history. Why obsess over the mundane? The mythic is ever present. And I think this is going to be the last one I talk about, because we're 8 minutes in, and I don't know if people want to listen to me continue to go. If you want me to continue to talk about my own poetry, I can, but just let me know in the comments. I don't know if I've lost you guys by now, but this is the idea that every story we tell ourselves is in some way jaded, in some way it's not real. And think about it this way, like, why do people not like you? Obviously you can be an asshole, but let's take it in the perfect idealized version, in that people don't understand you. Because even if you're an asshole, somebody's probably been an asshole to you somewhere in your life, and you're just dealing with that. You're just pushing that on to others. And if that person knew what you went through, that person knew your struggles, they probably would understand you a little better. They probably wouldn't hate you as much. And that's essentially what we're going through in life, is that we don't see the bigger picture. We don't see the full idea of things, so that we don't understand why a certain person is a certain way. We don't understand why things are a certain way, because our perception is limited. Our perception is limited by our sight, our hearing, our ability to remember, our ability to sit down and view the situation unemotionally. So in fact, the story we craft on a daily basis is fiction. The story we all craft is fiction. Even the history books is fiction because there are details that are glossed over. There are details that are lost to the sands of time. There are people that were moving things in the background, behind the scenes, that had a much larger impact than we can ever even know. But we give credit to the likes of Caesar or Napoleon or Alexander the Great. Like, do you think these people were just these mythic level heroes, or do you think there were people that were guiding them? Do you think they had handlers? Do you think there were people that were pulling the strings and aiding them and allowing them to be so great? And that's really the point of this. And the point of this is to understand that there's a fallibility to our reality, and to live and be consumed by the facts of things that aren't always quite accurate. There's always something beyond our perception, instead of being consumed by the mythic stage of life. And I think this is a big, big, big problem in the world today, that so many people are caught up in the mundane, and they really lose sight of the things that really matter. With that said, I really urge you to pick up this book. There's a whole lot more of this. I think there's like 130 something pages. I probably read to you 10. But yeah, I had fun writing this. I had fun reading this. Perhaps I go into more detail. Maybe I read the entire thing and make it an audiobook. Who knows? But yeah, with that said, I love you guys so much. Thank you guys so much. Peace out. I'll catch you in the next one. Oh yeah, and the book will be linked in the description. I forgot to mention it.